Hi there, this video is about committees in Congress. If you ever turn on C-SPAN and look at the floor of the House or the Senate, unless there's a vote going on, you're not going to see a whole lot happening. And you might watch that and say, what am I paying these people good money for? They're not doing anything. Most of the work that happens in Congress is done in committee. And so the floor of the House and the Senate, while it is exciting if you can watch a televised vote, the most work that you'll see happening on Capitol Hill are in committee workrooms. And those committee workrooms, by the way, you can also watch on C-SPAN. You'll see a whole lot more going on there. And that's because committees are the workhorse of Congress. That's where the legislation, where the bulk of the legislation actually happens. There are lots of different types of committees in Congress. The four major ones are known as the standing committees. Standing ones are the ones where most of the legislative work actually occurs. This is the type of committee that does most of the work of creating laws and passing bills. And so the standing committees themselves, they're called standing because they're always there. They are consistent. And the houses themselves are designed, they're allowed to design their standing committees however they want. And so the Senate and the House have slightly different setups for their committees, but they cover the same topics. It's just the preference of each house, how they want to organize and arrange those topics. And those standing committees are key in the legislative process. You also have what are called temporary committees. Sometimes they're called special or select committees, and those are designed to investigate some type of issue. And that can be something that's very well known. For example, a lot of times you'll see a temporary committee if there's a presidential impeachment. But typically a temporary committee is put together to find some kind of issue of interest. So you'll see a focus on for example, should we keep everything recorded on paper, or can we, now just digitize stuff? And so those special select committees will function as long as they are needed, and then they will cease. A conference committee is part of the bill passing process. At the very end of the bill passing process, the members of the Senate and some members of the House will all come together, a few from each house, and they will make the bills that are very similar in their houses, make them identical. And you can learn a little bit more about conference committees in the How Does a Bill Become a Law video. Again, conference committees are only temporary. Joint committees, the last kind, these are also temporary. And these typically deal with congressional support agencies, some kind of issue of interest. And they are called joint because they include members of both the House and the Senate. And typically they are investigating is there some kind of need or some kind of usefulness. For example, what kind of sources does the Library of Congress need? That's an example of a joint committee that is studying something of interest to both houses. The Library of Congress is where members of Congress get their information for any kind of research or legislation. And so that would be of interest to both of the houses.